Welcome back all of you to the online sessions on AWP classes. Now today we are going to discuss about same various parameters of an antenna. Okay. Now in this first one we normally discuss about the radiation resistance of an antenna. What is the importance of radiation resistance of an antenna? So basically imagine that this is an antenna that you have. Imagine that it is an antenna. Say this is an antenna. An antenna is normally going to have some input power. That means we normally going to supply some input current with some power, which is going to be the input power, and this antenna, because of the input power, antenna is going to radiate the EM waves. Antenna is going to radiate the EM waves. It is going to radiate the EM waves with some radiated power. So it is known as power radiated. Now once the antenna is going to radiate the electromagnetic waves, so every that means all the EM waves are normally going to have some internal resistance, which is called as radiation resistance of a antenna. Now based on the radiation resistance of an antenna, the antenna is going to normally radiate the electromagnetic wave. So radiation resistance RR, which is going to be non-physical component. So it is going to be totally an imaginary component, but still it is going to affect on the amount of EM waves radiated in the free space. So therefore we have to understand a little bit about the radiation resistance. So this radiation resistance is normally going to involve, that means as the EM waves are getting radiated into the free space, definitely we normally going to come across the power. So generally what is power? Power is equal to, in terms of electrical parameters, I square R. Power is equal to I square R. So this I square R I can write as equal to I square R becomes equal to RL plus RR. What is this RL? RL is going to be the load resistance of an antenna, where RR is going to be the radiation resistance of an antenna. So radiation resistance is totally imaginary component, whereas load resistance is going to be the effective output resistance of a antenna. So now these two resistances are normally going to affect the amount of power radiated by the transmitting antenna. So now this power radiated is normally equal to I square RL plus I square RR. So this I can write as equal to I square RL plus I square RR. So this power is known as the ohmic loss power. This power is known as ohmic loss power. This is known as, because of the radiation resistance, this power is going to be called as radiated power. This is what your radiated power. That means this ohmic loss, this power is nothing but the loss. That means this power is not involved in the transmission of the EM wave. It is going to be loss in the antenna, whereas this power is the useful power. I square R is going to be the useful power, and hence we simply call this power as a radiated power. Now the antenna efficiency depends on the radiated resistance, depends on the radiation resistance. So efficiency can also be written as equal to RR by RR plus RL. So usually this RR value would be taken greater than the RL value. RR value would be taken greater than RR value. Say for example, if RR is equal to RL, what will happen? Efficiency becomes is equal to 1 by 2. This is if RL is equal to RR, then efficiency becomes is equal to 1 by 2. If these two are same, what will happen now? It is going to be 1 by 2. That means efficiency is going to be 50% efficiency. We always want the efficiency to be usually greater than 50%. So therefore, we normally going to take this RR going to be greater than the RL component. So by doing so, we normally going to, that means by choosing this particular condition, we normally going to radiate more amount of power into the free space. So therefore the radiation resistance RR plays an important role while radiating the EM wave into the free space. So therefore this is one of the important parameter which you have to consider while designing the antenna. Now next parameter, already we discussed some part of this, which is called power flux density. What is power flux density? If you imagine some differential surface area like this, okay, so this is differential surface area, and normal to this surface area the power flux lines are moving in a normal to this particular surface, and this surface is going to have an effective area, say dA. Now what is the amount of flux density which is normally going to get radiated? The amount of flux density W is equal to, we can write as E cross H as per the Poynting's theorem. As per the Poynting vector, we say the amount of power radiated is equal to E cross H, which is similar to the electrical terms. In electrical terms, what is power? Power is equal to V into I. This is the power relation in electrical terminology. This is what in electrical terminology we use this. But whereas in the wave terminology, this is a wave representation. Now we are discussing into a wave propagation. Therefore, we will be writing in terms of wave propagation, where I will consider this as a vector now. That means if the EM wave vector is radiating outward like this, it is because of the electric and the magnetic fields. Because of the energy of these two only, we normally going to get the EM wave vector. Okay, so this is a simple vector representation, Poynting vector representation of a vector. Now to find out the total power, which is coming out of this particular differential area or differential surface, what we can have now, the total power radiated, I can just simply call it as closed surface integral of W dot ds. This is what we will write as a total surface integral. Now these power lines will be normally radiating in an axial direction. So as the power lines are radiating outwards in axial direction, what we are going to have? Axial means what? Radial direction. We usually call this as a radial parameter. That is, I can call this as WR. Into double integration ds of a surface integral. So this is what we normally going to consider for the power radiated, right? So for an isotropic antenna, we discussed this for an isotropic antenna. What is that we discussed this for an isotropic antenna? We have taken this entire surface area will be equal to 4 pi r square. So for isotropic antenna, in the previous class, we have found out the expression for the intensity of radiation. So while finding out the expression for intensity of radiations, we already computed this particular expression. Now here we are looking for average flux density or power flux density, let us say. So for looking into this average flux density or power flux density, it is what you have to use the E and H components. Okay. Now we have to find out an expression for the power flux density or average power flux density. Now when you consider the electric field, for a time varying nature, so in a time varying nature of electric field, if you consider the harmonic variations with respect to time, okay, is considered. If you consider this harmonic variations with respect to time, how we can write the equation for the electric field now? The electric field is going to be E, okay, E of, what are the components that you are going to have? If you consider rectangular coordinate system, I can call it as x, y, z into t. Okay, so this is what I can have for the Cartesian coordinate system. Okay, so this one into e power j omega t I can have. So or I can just say this as going to be something like E of x, y, z into this. So this e power j omega t is the component because of the harmonic variations with respect to time, and E is normally represented in terms of the electric and magnetic fields. So I can just write down this entire thing is going to be the electric field in a particular coordinate system. So if at all I have to write it with a spherical coordinate system, r theta phi I am going to have r comma theta comma phi of e power j omega t. So this is what for the electric field component I can write. Similarly I can write it for the magnetic field component. That means in a magnetic field component I can write this as h of r theta and phi into e raised to j omega t. So this is what the expression that we normally going to have with respect to time. Now we have to use these equations to find out the flux density. So to find out flux density, first of all let us try to write the equation, entire equation including the positive as well as negative spectrum of the electric field. So when you write this, we can normally going to write this as E of xyz or r theta phi can be written as equal to E. Okay, for just to, that means E of r theta phi into e power j omega t, okay, plus E of r theta phi into e power minus j omega t. So these components I can have now. So E is equal to, I can have E into e power j omega t plus E into e power minus j omega t I can have, right. So here for electric fields, if the electric field is normally going to exist continuously, that means for an even function, if you write this equation, if the electric field is considered as an even function, then what we can write this as, we can write this E is going to be equal to E plus E. That means we normally going to get 2E. So these components are going to be same, uniform, I can just consider them as equal to 1, I will be getting 2E. So therefore the average value, what is the average value? This is what the electric field component. Similarly we can get the magnetic field component also. Similarly we can get the magnetic field component also in the similar manner. Now here while we are going to get this, we are normally interested in getting the real value of this. That means the electric field vector we normally going to represent with the real part. There are two parts here, real part as well as imaginary part of this particular signal. So to get the value, we always calculate with respect to real part of this particular expression of the electric field. So therefore the real part of this electric field, if we consider only, we will be getting only EE part, and rest of them as they are the conjugates on the even function spectrum. So therefore these are going to get neglected, made is equal to 1. So therefore I will be having E plus C, which is going to be 2E. So here the average value, we have to find out the average value of the signal. So therefore the average electric field, average or E average, the electric field average is nothing but is equal to 1 by 2 into 2E, which is equal to E. So average value of the electric field is normally going to be E, which is what we are going to get. That means we will be once again going to the previous equation only. Similarly we can get H average is equal to H. So therefore the average power radiated can be written as equal to half E cross complex conjugate of H component. So that means the average power density of a radiated signal, of a radiated wave, will be written as equal to 1 by 2 times E cross H complex conjugate, so H star. So this is what the basic equation which we normally use to calculate the power flux density or average power which is been radiated by a transmitting antenna. Okay, so after we complete with these two things, next we will try to go with the directivity and gain of the antenna. Now we are going to, what we are going to do is, here we are going to write this radiation intensity expression for electric field in the theta direction. Okay, so let us look into this now. What we do now is that we are normally going to write the expression for radiation intensity in theta and phi field. That means the electric field in the direction of theta and phi. Now Well, now in continuation to the previous session, well, in continuation to the previous expression for radiation intensity, we extend this radiation intensity expression of electric field, okay, in the direction of theta, right? So that means here we have two directions. One is going to be theta, another one is going to be phi. Theta means what? You understand that it is going to be like a cone kind of a structure, right? What is phi? It is going to be a circle. That means the radiations of EM waves are normally going to get radiated in the circular fashion and also in a directional fashion. This is what a directional fashion. Imagine that it is a three-dimensional. This is also a three-dimensional thing. So you normally going to have phi this is the phi rotation and it is going to be the theta rotation. So I can call this as a theta rotation. This is nothing but theta rotation, and this is going to be called as phi rotation. So phi is going to take 0 to 2 pi, whereas theta is going to take 0 to pi rotation. So therefore the radiation from an antenna is going, if it is going to be in theta direction, it will be radiating like this. If it is going to be phi direction, it will be simply radiating like this. Okay, so these are the radiation angles for a transmitting antenna that we can consider if we consider this in a spherical coordinate system. So now what we are normally doing here is we are simply finding out radiation intensity of the theta field of electric field E. So already we have defined this equation just now. U is equal to R square radiated power. Okay, so average power is equal to, from the Poynting vector or from the Poynting power theorem, we have already got this. Average power is equal to half real part of E cross H. Now let us write this electric field, okay, in the direction of theta. Okay, right now half RE of E, I replace E with E theta, and direction of that electric field is theta. So A theta I will write, cross E I can write as what now? E is equal to, sorry, H I can write as what now? E theta by eta, right? From the intrinsic impedance formula, I can write intrinsic impedance eta is equal to E by H. So I am writing this for H E theta by eta E phi. So H is normally, H and E are orthogonal to each other. H and E are orthogonal to each other. Therefore, if this is theta, this is normally going to be taken as phi. Right. Now radial direction we are considering it as uniform. So therefore radial we don't consider here. So A theta, A phi we are going to consider for the practical antenna. So now what I can write this as now? This E theta into E theta is E theta square. A theta cross A phi is nothing but equal to AR, right? So if theta, E theta is only considered here, I have written this equation. So thereby I can now write the equation as U is equal to radiation intensity U is equal to R square average power. So this in radiation intensity for E theta, what I can write this equation as now? R square. I have to simply multiply this average power. I have to simply multiply this average power with R square according to this formula. So we are simply multiplying it. So once you multiply, you get R square by 2 eta E theta square. So now I am representing this electric field in the spherical coordinate system which contains R, theta and phi. So this is the E theta component in the spherical coordinate system. That is what we are resembling it, right? Now what is the total radiation intensity of a electric field? The electric field is going to exist along the theta direction as well as phi direction. So if we consider phi also, I simply going to write the same equation in terms of phi. So therefore I simply going to add one more phi component here, E phi component. It will be really same value for radiation intensity, right? Now here we consider this radiation intensity U for far field regions only. We don't consider this for the near field regions. So therefore U is considered for the far field regions. Now the total power radiated from the transmitting antenna in terms of the radiation index can be written as equal to double integration of U dot d u dot solid angle. Okay, so this is known as solid angle. We normally going to integrate with respect to this particular solid angle. What is solid angle? We take 2 points on the sphere or a surface area, and we find out the angle between those 2 points. So this angle is nothing but the solid angle. So we have to find out this, we have to integrate this with respect to solid angle, because we are interested in finding out the power radiated from this particular region under consideration. So therefore we are considering this region as a differential surface area. So we are considering this, therefore we are going to integrate on these two. Now here, while integrating, we have two variables. One is going to be theta, another one is going to be phi. The antenna can radiate in the direction of theta as well as in the direction of phi. Therefore you have to use the both notations. So therefore I am going to use double integrations, u dot d omega. Now this one of the integral is going to be from phi is equal to 0 to 2 pi. This is what 0 to 2 pi angle, and other one is going to be theta is equal to 0 to pi. So we will consider these two limits for the integration, and once you calculate this value, you are normally going to find out the radiated power. Now to calculate this radiated power, what is that which is required for us? We should know what is the value of the Ri, that is called U, or radiation index, radiation intensity. What is the value of radiation intensity? If you know this particular value, you can able to find out the amount of power radiated from the transmitting antenna. Now let us look into another practical case. Now we are always going to compare the practical antenna with the isotropic antenna. Why? The isotropic antenna is always going to be an ideal case or a reference antenna. So in order to compute the values, or in order to find out the amount of correctness of the parameters, we are always going to compare the parameters of the practical antenna with respect to the isotropic antenna. Therefore we are finding out the radiation intensity of a isotropic antenna. In isotropic antenna, u is independent of theta and phi. Now how u is independent of theta and phi? What is isotropic antenna? Imagine that it is a sphere. When it is a sphere, at the center of the sphere you have an antenna. Now this antenna is now normally radiating the signal in all the directions. In all the 360 degrees, the antenna is going to radiate with equal energy. So that means the radiation is going to be there in all the directions, in all the 360 degrees directions. Therefore the radiation intensity becomes simply independent of theta and phi. Theta means what? Directivity. If theta is going to be there, if theta is alone going to be there, we say directivity of an antenna is really going to be very high. Okay. If phi is there, because phi is going to be there for a near field, whereas theta will be applicable for the far field. Okay. Right. So u is independent of theta and phi. Now in this equation, already we have this equation now, P radiation is equal to double integration of u dot d omega. What is d omega? Sin theta d theta d phi. Just now in the previous class we have got this equation. Now by substituting this, now u is independent, so that is why I will take this u outside, because it becomes independent parameter now, because the dependent one is only theta and phi. So since the radiation is along all the directions of an isotropic antenna, if this is an isotropic antenna, the radiation will be in all the directions. Therefore the radiation intensity becomes independent of theta and phi. So I will take u outside of this integral. Now I am writing outside in double integration of d omega. So when you calculate this d omega, it is going to be 4 pi that you are going to get. Okay, because the circumference of the sphere is going to be 4 pi r square. So we normally going to get 4 pi. Then once we get this, now since it is for isotropic antenna, I am replacing it by u naught. U naught is the radiation intensity of an isotropic antenna. So therefore I replace with u naught. U naught is equal to P radiation by 4 pi I will get. So this is the radiation intensity equation for an isotropic antenna. So u naught is equal to total radiated power by 4 pi we do. Thereby we normally going to get the radiation intensity of a isotropic antenna. So this is the radiation intensity for all these particular lobes. See, you are seeing so many lobes here. For every lobe, the radiation intensity is going to be the same value. So that is what the case with the isotropic source. The next one is going to be the directivity of an antenna. So directivity means what? The strength of the signal is going to be really very high in a particular direction. That is what called directivity basically. So directivity is defined as a ratio of the radiation intensity in a given direction to the radiation intensity of an isotropic source. So what is, just now we found out isotropic source radiation index. So therefore this is the test antenna, radiation intensity of test antenna by radiation intensity of the isotropic source. What is the isotropic source? P radiation by 4 pi we have got. So that same thing we are going to use. So therefore I can write this as 4 pi u by P radiation, power radiated. So this actually can be written in terms of d theta as well as d phi. So where d theta I can write as equal to what now? 4 pi u of theta by total radiated power along theta direction as well as along phi direction we calculate. So similarly for d phi we normally going to find out. So thereby we can get the d theta and d phi values. When you add these two directivities, you will get the overall directivity of a transmitting antenna. Right. Now what is P radiation? This is called total radiated power by a transmitting antenna. Right. So then this is what regarding the various parameters like radiation intensity, directivity of an antenna and radiation intensity of an isotropic source, which are going to be very, very important for the examination. Now finally what we are going to do is, we finally go with the gain of the transmitting antenna. What is the gain of the antenna? Can be written as equal to, it is a ratio of the radiation index, radiation intensity in a given direction to the total input power. Okay, so what is that? How is that? I can write this as G is equal to U max by P in by 4 pi. What is U max? Maximum radiation intensity in a given direction is known as the U max. Okay, so it is going to be, I can call this as maximum. So maximum radiation intensity in given direction is nothing but U max by total input power. So input power means what? I can write this as P in by 4 pi for a spherical coordinate system. So I will be writing this as 4 pi U max by P in. Right. Now we already derived the expression for D, that is called directivity. What is directivity? I have got radiation intensity in given direction by radiation intensity of an isotropic source. For a directivity we have given it with respect to the isotropic source, but for the gain of the antenna we are writing it with respect to the input power. So that means only thing is, what is the equations that we normally going to get? Say for example, if you take this D now, D, what is the equation I am having? 4 pi U max in the numerator. What about G? 4 pi U max in the numerator. In the denominator I have here P in, here I have P radiation. So that means for directivity we are going to use the radiated power, means what? Output power of an antenna, and for the gain we normally use the input power of the antenna. Okay, so this is what the major difference that we normally going to have. Now to get a relationship between gain and the directivity, what we are doing now? Just simply perform G by D here. Once you perform this now, what happens now? We will be getting P radiated by P in. P radiated by P in, because these two will get cancelled and P radiation will go up, P in will come down, therefore we get a P radiated by P in. So therefore G by D is equal to, I can write some constant K. That constant K can be taken as, it is known as an efficiency. It is known as efficiency. How can I say it is an efficiency? What is efficiency? Basically output by input is known as efficiency. So output is what? Radiated power is output, input is the P in is the input to the antenna, because antenna is the device we are testing now actually. So therefore P radiation is the output power and P in is the input power. Therefore I can call this ratio as a efficiency. So G I can write as equal to, gain is equal to efficiency into directivity. So this is the equation, a very popular equation which we use continuously for doing problems. Okay, so with this we'll end up our class today, and in next class we solve some problems and we derive the expression for the Friis transmission equation. Okay, so thank you very much for today's